Danny Devito turned 80, yet his life is tragic. His mother said she never wanted him. After drinking, his father became angry every night. Before Danny was 15, police visited their residence 17 times. However, that's not the worst. Danny has hidden a rare disease that causes daily anguish for decades. For surgery and a new face, Hollywood offered millions. He rejected and burnt the contract. After 80 years, his agony is finally revealed. Danny DeVito's life began poorly. His 1944 birthplace was Neptune, New Jersey. The odds were against him from the start. Julia, his mother, was 40 and had several children. She didn't want another. Years later, she confessed, "He wasn't my choice, but I'm proud of him." A confession like that could break anyone. Danny used it as gasoline. That early rejection haunted him throughout his boyhood. Instead of being discouraged, he kept going. His goal was to prove his worth. But his troubles continued. Life at home was unpredictable. Daniel Sr. was kind during the day. He ran a popular Asbury Park confectionery shop. He changed at night as the alcohol kicked in. Loud, angry, even violent. Danny noticed signs, bottle sounds, and his dad's footsteps. Sometimes he hid in closets. Other times, he rushed to neighbors. Police visited their home 17 times between 1950 and 1955. These childhood events left lasting marks. Later, he stayed sober and founded Little Giants in 1992. It's helped over 15,000 kids from similar homes obtain support. At 14, Danny knew he had to leave. His neighborhood fell apart. It was heroin everywhere. 2 of his childhood pals died before 16. So he planned. He studied diligently, saved $237 from tiny jobs, and persuaded his parish priest to talk to his parents. He wanted prep school for oratory. His timing was precise. His father was sober and guilty when he asked for permission. His mother, still hurting from rejection, agreed. His decision likely saved him. Only 3 of 12 buddies from that period survived 25 without going to prison or getting addicted. There was more. Danny had Fairbanks disease, a rare genetic disorder. That's why he barely reached 4'10". The issue went beyond height. It stung terribly. His hips, knees, and back hurt continuously. He experienced 6 to 8 out of 10 pain in his 20s and 30s. Still, he persisted. His own stunts. He also collapsed 4 times while filming One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and assumed it was part of the role. Doctors gave him painkillers, but he never became addicted. He discreetly gave over $12 million to treat bone problems like his. Projects never bore his name. He wanted no attention. He wants less suffering for others. Most fans don't know his prior career before acting. A beautician. After 1,500 hours of training, he graduated second in beauty school. He works at his sister Angela's Curl Up and Dye salon. He became so good that people booked appointments months in advance. He was awarded for the Neptune twist haircut. He took it seriously, even though he started to meet girls. She was combing a client's hair when her theater producer husband advised Danny to audition for a play. That started it. Danny had no acting ambitions. He applied to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts for cosmetics training in 1962. Despite his inexperience, he did a monologue when prompted. The Rainmaker scenario was performed. Something clicked. They offered him an acting role, not makeup. He hesitated to agree. He returned to the salon. The school contacted again 3 days later and offered him a half scholarship. His life altered after that second call. Michael Douglas was his New York roommate a few years later. They lived in a tiny apartment with insects, bad heat, and $75 rent they couldn't afford. Douglas hid being Kirk Douglas's son. They ate stale bread and tinned beans. They printed and delivered headshots across the city with their last 27. Douglas booked roles, but Danny kept being rejected. But the bond lasted. Douglas requested Danny's casting in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest years later. That role transformed everything. Danny endured Hollywood hardships before his breakthrough. Between 1967 and 1970, he auditioned 248 times. He made less than $800 from 3 tiny jobs: parking vehicles, posing like a mannequin in a clothes store, and cleaning LA zoo cages for $1.85 an hour were his odd jobs to survive. For practice, he read lines to chimps. He lived in an ancient VW Beetle. He bathed at the YMCA and ate soup. He hid that story for decades. Hollywood wants him transformed. Producers and agents advised surgery. Some recommended breaking and lengthening his legs. Others sought to change his face. A studio promised him roughly $1 million in today's money if he did it. He declined. He really burnt the contract on a beach bonfire. He refused to change for fame. He remembered his casting director response for years: "I prefer being my best to being someone else's." Early jobs paid less and were harder. He made $25 a week in his first off-Broadway production. He worked overnight printing press shifts to pay rent. Deep depression plagued him during that show. He almost quit. His debut picture earned $200, and filming in frigid water gave him pneumonia. The man slept in a barn to save money. Danny couldn't go home much after his father got sick in 1972. The death of his father crushed him. He considered quitting performing and applied for a postal job, but the phone rang the day he got the offer letter. A flu audition was held above the cuckoo's nest. That moment changed everything. Pain, destitution, rejection. Everything led to that chance. He took it. The producer was his ex-roommate, Michael Douglas. Even crazier, Devito had portrayed Martini on stage years earlier. He was ready while the casting staff was unsure. The film was shot in a real mental hospital and had real patients as extras. The scene was intense. This helped Devito perform raw. With only 5 minutes and 52 seconds on screen, he left an impression. Even when the studio desired a bigger name, Milos Forman supported him. The film won 5 Oscars. Despite not being nominated, Devito was ultimately recognized. Most thought Devito's 1978 decision was ridiculous. He auditioned for Taxi, a sitcom, instead of 3 movies. His agency advised him against it. Everyone in Hollywood said film to TV was career suicide. Yet Devito trusted his instincts. After reading the script, he felt he had to play Louis De Palma. He performed more than lines at the audition. He surprised everyone with a 7-minute monologue. ABC was concerned about his 4'10" height, but creator James L. Brooks threatened to quit if he wasn't cast. He trusted Devito that much. Danny didn't ask for additional money. He accepted the contract immediately despite its 40% lower pay than other actors. Suddenly, everything changed. He failed approximately 200 auditions in 3 years before Taxi. The casting directors kept telling him he was too short, odd-looking, and weird. After the show aired, he became famous. Over 11,000 fan letters arrived in 8 episodes. That was unprecedented for a supporting character. Louis De Palma was more than amusing. He was spiteful and unapologetic. The public adored it. Louis's lines generated 3 to 5 complaints per episode to the censors. Before each scene, Devito would sit alone and slowly recount all his rejections. That rage, that drive. The performance started immediately and worked. By 1980, 93% of Americans could identify Louis De Palma by voice or silhouette. His Devito-sized dispatch booth became one of TV's most famous settings. The honors followed. Devito received a 1980 Golden Globe. A year later, he got an Emmy. It stunned everyone. Although Louis De Palma wasn't a hero or lovable, people couldn't look away. DeVito's Emmy win was sweet because the show disregarded him in the first season. After receiving his prize, he said 12 words. "Thank you. This makes me happy." Taxi is the best TV show. It was the shortest Emmy acceptance speech. That year, Vegas betting sites picked Jack Albertson to win the Golden Globe. The DeVito beat him. Some judges didn't want to nominate him behind the scenes. His victory altered their minds about rewarding his bad behavior. It showed audiences may like villains. That concept affected TV for decades. Also, NBC tried to poach him, promising him $175,000 every episode for his show. More than 11 times his salary. He declined, wanting to be loyal to the cab cast. DeVito met Rhea Perlman amid his success. A strange thing happened. Come to break up with DeVito's roommate, whom she was dating. Then she met Danny. They spoke 6 hours that night. DeVito stated he felt he wanted to marry her after 22 minutes. Taxi cast Perlman as Louis's girlfriend a year later. They were dating in real life without the producers knowing. Everyone thought it was fantastic acting since their chemistry was so real. After 2 weeks, they quietly moved into Danny's 450-square-foot flat. To prevent partiality, they kept separate dressing rooms on set following their 1982 marriage. Few knew that they collaborated behind the scenes. Jersey Films, their film firm, began quietly in 1983. They performed it at night and on weekends throughout Taxi filming. After 40 years, they've worked on 17 projects and formed a rule: never more than 2 weeks without team creativity. After Taxi ended in 1983, DeVito achieved something most TV performers couldn't. He transitioned to film well. In the same year, he appeared in Oscar-winning Best Picture Terms of Endearment. He stole scenes in Romancing the Stone, which generated $115 million on a $10 million budget in 1984. The sequel, The Jewel of the Nile, reunited him with Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. He also played a tiny role in Johnny Dangerously to stay on screen. He strategically added film credentials and gained momentum. He became a villain in Ruthless People in 1986. He played a greedy man who refuses ransom when his wife is stolen, and people adored it. The $7.5 million film grossed $71 million. Golden Globe nod for DeVito. His outrageous performance anchored the film. Hatred didn't scare him. Confidence expanded opportunities. Throw Mama from the Train was DeVito's 1987 directorial debut. He only acted if he could direct, he told the producers. He won. Each Los Angeles filming site was meticulously selected. He tried to schedule Brian De Palma for the film, but it didn't work out. Mama, played by Anne Ramsey, performed various acrobatics following surgery. Her bruises didn't stop her. The Valencia private track was used to film the final train scene, which took 6 days. The film garnered DeVito another Golden Globe nomination and critical acclaim. Twins followed in 1988. Crazy concept. Cast DeVito and Schwarzenegger as long-lost twins. It worked despite seeming silly. The two actors and director Ivan Reitman took no upfront pay. Instead, they agreed to split 40% of profits. It was risky, yet profitable. The picture grossed $216 million worldwide, or over $500 million now. Each man made $35 and $40 million. That film altered DeVito's image. He was no longer a strange supporting actor. Leading man. He showed that no one needs height or beauty to carry a film. You have to be good. DeVito was developing something behind the scenes as everyone saw him act. His 1984 TV film The Ratings Game was an earlier work. He re-teamed with Rhea to direct Amazing Stories in 1986. His Romancing the Stone co-stars returned for The War of the Roses in 1989. The violent, humorous, and relatable narrative touched many. The title became a colloquial word for unpleasant divorces in Germany. Comedy, oddity, and emotion defined DeVito's style. Famous designers Saul and Elaine Bass created the film's opening credits, indicating its quality. Not merely a hit, it proved Devito could act and direct without losing concentration. 1992 followed. Devito morphed as the Penguin in Batman Returns that year. He wore makeup for hours to play twisted villain Oswald Cobblepot. Under Tim Burton's direction, it went beyond a costume. DeVito's act was bizarre and heartbreaking. Fans adored it. He was an MTV Movie Awards Best Villain nominee. Years later, he claimed he'd play the Penguin again if Burton did. But DeVito continued. The same year, he made Hoffa, a dramatic film on labor leader Jimmy Hoffa. DeVito directed and starred with Jack Nicholson as Hoffa, a striking departure from comedy. With David Mamet, he made a movie about speeches, fury, and power battles. One trailer line spoke it all. "We will march to get our reason for coming." DeVito proved he could handle huge, difficult stories. DeVito changed paths in 1992. Jersey Films was his producing company. It was more than vanity. He worked with Michael Shamberg and Stacy Scher. They founded one of the 1990s most powerful independent studios. DeVito sought fantastic scripts to develop into films, and he did. Jersey Films transformed the industry. They gambled on a wild script in 1994. The film was Pulp Fiction. Tarantino wrote something odd, dark, and original. Jersey Films saved it after another studio dropped it. They funded and housed Tarantino's company. Total budget, $8 million. Tarantino promised a $25 million film look. He maintained his word. It opened in October 1994 after a Cannes debut. It became a classic and showed DeVito's bold, game-changing vision. DeVito directed Matilda, a Roald Dahl adaptation, in 1996. He played Matilda's cruel father and his wife, Rhea Perlman, as her mother. Not simply the movie made it special. It happened behind the scenes. Mara Wilson, a young celebrity, had her mother's cancer. DeVito and Perlman treated her like family. DeVito took a near-final cut of the film to the hospital for her mother to watch before she died. Wilson subsequently said they were her favorite aunt and uncle. Jersey kept making interesting films. Man in the Moon, about comedian Andy Kaufman, was released in 1999. Years previously, DeVito collaborated with Kaufman on Taxi. He played Kaufman's manager and produced this picture. Jim Carrey embodied Kaufman in his act. Though lauded by critics, it failed at the box office. Still, DeVito supported the film. He valued the tale over money. DeVito kept a painful secret despite his achievements. He had rare bone disorder Fairbanks disease, which caused chronic discomfort. After each procedure, the discomfort returned. Hollywood told him to keep silent. They said he'd lose work if he looked weak. Even though standing pained, he continued. He acted through discomfort on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, then collapsed off camera. He finally came out in 2020, fed up with silence. He wanted doctors to take the disease seriously for him and others in anguish without help. DeVito and Perlman sold their Beverly Hills house in 2015. The owners bought it in 1994. It was huge, 14,579 square feet on 2 acres with wine cellar, gym, art studio, and 2 pools. Everything was there. Their children Lucy, Grace, and Jake were grown by then. The sale went beyond money. One era ended for their family. DeVito joined Philadelphia's It's Always Sunny at 62 in 2006. Initially, the network rejected him. Even if he was too renowned, program creator Rob McElhenney lobbied to include him. It works. Ratings rose 227% despite earning 10 times more in his prime. DeVito only earned $70,000 per episode. Young audiences recognized him best as Frank Reynolds in 2010. DeVito went all in for laughs. One scene in 2007 included him sliding naked on the floor covered in hand sanitizer. The script didn't say that. The moment was legendary. In another, he emerged from a couch in sweaty makeup. Despite a rash, he continued. So he showered in trash water in 2013. He said that vanity is just squandered chance at my age when questioned if it was too much. But behind the scenes, suffering persisted. He was diagnosed with severe back disc injury in 2008. By 2010, he spent nearly half his filming days in severe agony. His mornings began with 4 hours of therapy at 4:30. He bounced on a tiny trampoline, bathed hot and cold, and hung upside down in his trailer. In 2011, he needed 19 takes for a waterslide scene and ruptured ocular blood vessels. The scene ultimately made the edit. 30 years of marriage ended in 2012 for Devito and Perlman. It stunned everyone. But the fractures began in 2011, when Devito worked long days and allegations circulated about a bond with a younger woman on set. They tried 38 therapy sessions, but failed. They held hands again in 2013. He rented their first date spot. They tried again and stayed together for 4 years before ending in 2017. Despite their second separation, they never divorced. A settlement was reached to share their riches without court. Devito acquired a house near Perlman's in 2019. They spoke every Wednesday and Sunday. Like old times, they gathered at the same restaurant and table every month. Their son stated they shared a Netflix account and texted while watching the same shows from different houses. Devito gave a New Jersey hospital $500,000 in July 2023. When it was Raleigh Fitkin Paul Morgan Memorial, he was born here. Jersey Shore University Medical Center now exists. Donating $500,000 wasn't a publicity stunt, a way to give back. It had just been named among the top 5% of hospitals nationwide for clinical treatment. A contribution from Devito funded its most critical patient needs. He was recognized by Hackensack Meridian Health CEO Robert Garrett for understanding the power of donating. Even his old friend Peter Cancro, Jersey Mike's Subs founder, claimed Devito cared about healthcare and wanted to make a difference. The famous Danny Devito has spoken out on politics, healthcare, and the environment for years. He's never been hesitant expressing his beliefs, but some say it's cost him. Rumors abound, but no proof. Devito's honesty has offended Hollywood insiders, according to a recent video. The same video shows that he was quietly moved out of various responsibilities after disclosing Fairbanks' disease, a rare bone growth disorder. He reportedly began advocating for disabled people, wondering why Hollywood maintains limited beauty standards. The video alleges filmmakers forced him to seek experimental procedures to seem normal. No trustworthy sources have corroborated this, but it makes you question how much honesty costs in showbiz. Supporting bone condition hospitals for youngsters is his particular commitment. Life with Fairbanks' illness is hard. This causes joint discomfort, stiffness, and early arthritis. Devito kept this secret for years, acting, directing, and producing despite the suffering. He's recently been discussing it, not just for himself, but for kids who can't afford treatment or have no one to advocate for them. He wants additional study. He wants better treatment. Hollywood should stop pretending just one body belongs on screen. Not all has gone well. Danny Devito made headlines again in May 2025, but for a different cause. What began as a typical interview on Jimmy Kimmel Live became a whirlwind. We started with jokes and smiles. By the second segment, tension rose. No one knows what started it.